Hello everyone and welcome to the 5-Minute German A2 course. In today's video, we will learn all the dative prepositions which are used in A2. We already learned some of the prepositions such as location prepositions, time prepositions and direction prepositions in A1. However, in A2, there are some new prepositions that you should know so that you can make A2 level sentences. And that's exactly what we are going to learn today. And I will also give you a lot of examples so that you understand how these prepositions are used in sentences and in which situations you have to use which preposition. So let's not waste any time and let's get started. So we will start by first of all doing a quick recap about what are prepositions and what are the different types of prepositions. After that, we will go through all the A2 dative prepositions one by one, and I will also give you examples along with these prepositions so that you understand how they are used. So let's start with a quick recap about what are prepositions, or Prepositionen as they are called in German. So prepositions are a word or group of words showing the relationship between different things. So for example, if we have this table and a book is placed on top of it, then we can say the book is on the table. In this sentence, on is the preposition because it shows the relationship between the book and the table. Similarly, if we have this bag which is placed under the table, then we can say the bag is under the table, where under is the preposition. And both of these prepositions are examples of location prepositions. There are other types of prepositions as well, such as time prepositions, direction prepositions, and so on. And this is a categorization of prepositions based on the function of these prepositions. And we have already done this in the A1 course. If you have not yet seen the videos on location, time, and direction prepositions, then I will link them in the description below. You can check them out. We can categorize the prepositions that we have in German in another way as well, and that is categorization based on case. So when we do this categorization, then we have three types. The first is dative prepositions, the second is accusative prepositions, and the third one is prepositions which could be dative or accusative, depending on the situation. And these types of prepositions will be our focus in A2. Because if you divide the prepositions based on case, then it will be easier for you to know which type of article to use with which type of preposition. So as mentioned in this video, we will take a look at all the A2 dative prepositions. So the total number of dative prepositionen in A2 are 10. These are bei, which means close to or at, nach, which means to, towards or after, zu, which means to or towards, mit, which means with, seit, which means since, aus, which means out of or from, außer, which means except or besides, von, which means from or of, ab, which means from this time onwards, and gegenüber, which means opposite or across from. And all of these prepositions are dative prepositions. This means that whenever we use articles with these prepositions, then they will be in the dative form. The adjective endings will always be in the dative form. Same will be the case for personal pronouns. We will use the dative personal pronouns. And the possessive pronouns will also be in the dative form. Now before we start with the prepositions, let's do a quick recap of the articles in dative, just to refresh your memory. So in dative, the bestimmte article or definite article for masculine is dem, for feminine it is der, for neutral it is dem, and for plural it is den. And the unbestimmte article or indefinite article for masculine is einem, for feminine it is einer, and for neutral it is einem. I have already made videos on personal pronouns and possessive pronouns in dative as well. So if you want to know what they are, you can take a look at the videos which I will link in the description below. So now let's start with the first preposition, which is bei, which means close to or at. So here we have an example where we have a bag which is placed close to a sofa. So we can describe this by saying die Tasche steht beim Sofa. The bag is near the sofa. And beim over here is a combination of bei plus dem. And we have used dem over here because sofa is das Sofa. And the article for neutral in dative is dem. Now the other meaning for bei is at. And this is usually used with people, company or activities. For example, I can say Ich bin bei der Arbeit. I am at work. So over here we will use bei. And Arbeit is die Arbeit. But since in dative the feminine article is there, that's why we say bei der Arbeit. Another example with people can be Ich übernachte bei meiner Schwester. I will stay at my sister's. So over here, Schwester is die Schwester. That's why we use meiner, which is the possessive pronoun for first person, singular, feminine. Now if I want to tell where I work, then I will also use bei. So suppose I work at Siemens, then I will say Ich arbeite bei Siemens, which is the name of a company. However, you see over here that when we use proper nouns, which are names, then we don't use any article. We just say Ich arbeite bei Siemens. So this is how you use the preposition bei. Now let's take a look at the second preposition, which is nach, which has different meanings, to, towards, and after. So when we use nach for cities, countries, or direction, then it takes the meaning of to or towards. For example, if somebody asks me, Wohin gehst du? Where are you going? Then I can say, Ich gehe nach Frankfurt. I am going to Frankfurt. So you see, I have used nach to tell about the city where I am going. Similarly, in case of countries, if somebody asks me, Wohin fliegt ihr? Where are you all flying to? Then we can say, Wir fliegen nach Italien. We are flying to Italy. However, one small point that you must know over here is that we use nach only with countries which don't have any article. For example, Deutschland, Indian, Frankreich, etc. All of these countries don't have any article. That's why we use nach before them. However, there are some countries which have an article before them, such as die Türkei, die Schweiz, which is Switzerland. So in this case, we will not use nach. Rather, we will use in before them. Similarly, when we are talking about directions, then we also use nach. Such as, I can say, Ich gehe nach links. I go to the left. Another example of direction can be, Ich fahre nach Osten. I am driving towards the east. So with the other map directions, such as Süden, which is south, Norden, which is north, Western, which is west, we will also use nach. Now another use of nach is for time, and in this case it takes the meaning of after. The simplest example for this is something that you might have also learned in A1, and that is when you tell the time. For example, it is 4:05. Then you will tell the time as Es ist 4:05. It is 5 after 4 a.m. And you see we have used nach over here to tell that it is 4:05 or 5 after 4. Now you can also use nach with other time events, such as nach dem Essen gehen wir spazieren. After the meal, we go for a walk. So here we also have a time which is after the meal. Other examples can be nach der Schule gehe ich ins Kino. After school, I go to the cinema. Or nach unserer Hochzeit reisen wir nach Italien. After our wedding, we will travel to Italy. And in both of these examples, Schule and Hochzeit both are feminine. That's why we have used the feminine dative articles, which is der Schule or unsere Hochzeit. And in the second example, you might have noticed that we have used nach twice. First at the start, which is nach unserer Hochzeit, and then at the end as well, nach Italien, which we learned earlier that we use nach with countries as well. And the third use of nach is when we are going towards our house. In this case, it also takes the meaning of to or towards. So suppose I am going to my house, then I will say Ich gehe nach Hause. I am going home. Ich gehe nach Hause. So this was the preposition nach and its different uses. Now let's take a look at su, which also has a similar meaning, which is two or towards. However, the difference is that we use su for local places which are inside a city, such as if I am going to a bakery shop which is inside my city, then I will not say ich gehe nach der Bäckerei, rather I will say ich gehe zu der Bäckerei. I am going to the bakery, and Bäckerei is die Bäckerei. That's why we use the feminine dative article which is there. And we can also rewrite this sentence as ich gehe zur Bäckerei, which also has the same meaning, where zur is the combination of zu and der. Another use of zu is when you are going to a person. For example, I can say ich gehe zum Arzt. I am going to the male doctor, where zum is the combination of zu and dem, and Arzt means male doctor. Now if it was a female doctor, then I will say ich gehe zur Ärztin. I am going to the female doctor, and in this case we use zur, which means zu der, because Ärztin is die Ärztin. We can also use this in questions. For example, if somebody asks me, kommst du zu mir? Are you coming to my place? Then you see after zu I have used mir, which is the personal pronoun in dative. And as an answer I can say, ja, nach der Arbeit komme ich zu dir. After work I will come to you. And over here, dir is also a personal pronoun in dative for second person singular. Now there is another use of zu as well, and that is when we want to say at home. Then we say zu Hause. So the sentence will be ich bin zu Hause. I am at home. So zu Hause means at home. And in case you are visiting someone or somebody is visiting you, then you will say kommt zu Besuch. He is coming to visit. So zu Besuch means to visit. And you don't use any article in this case. So this was zu. The next preposition is mit, which means with. So a common example with mit is whenever you are traveling with a transport. So for example, when you are traveling with a bus, then you can say ich fahre mit dem Bus. I will travel with the bus. And bus is der Bus. That's why we use the masculine article in dative, which is dem. If you are traveling with a bicycle, then you will say ich fahre mit dem Fahrrad. I will travel with bicycle. And bicycle is das Fahrrad, which also has the same article, which is dem in dative. So that's why we use mit dem Fahrrad. Now if you are traveling with foot, will you say ich gehe mit dem Fuß? I will travel on foot? No, this will be wrong. You use mit with all types of transport. However, not when you are traveling on foot. In this case, you will say ich gehe zu Fuß. I will travel on foot. So whenever you are traveling on foot, you always use zu Fuß and never mit Fuß. Other examples with mit can be ich spiele mit meinem Bruder. I am playing with my brother. Now if I was playing with my sister, then I will say ich spiele mit meiner Schwester. I am playing with my sister. You see how the ending has changed? This is because Schwester is die Schwester. Now a commonly used phrase with mit is mit der Zeit wird es besser. With time it will get better. So this is how you can use mit as well. And why do we use der Zeit over here? Because seit is die Zeit. So this was mit. The next preposition is seit, which means since, and this is used for time. So we can use this in questions as well. For example, if somebody asks you, seit wann lernst du Deutsch? Since when have you been learning German? So seit wann means since when. And you can answer this in two ways. The first is by answering a full sentence, in which you can say ich lerne Deutsch seit einem Jahr. I am learning German since 1 year or for 1 year. And you see that Jahr is der Jahr. That's why we use einem over here, which is the masculine indefinite article in dative. The second way to answer this is a short form where you can just say seit einem Jahr, since 1 year or for 1 year. Other examples with seit can be arbeitet seit 2 Monaten hier. He is working here since 2 months. So arbeitet seit 2 Monaten hier. Now if you have started something recently, then you can also use seit. For example, seit kurzer Zeit habe ich ein neues Hobby. Since a short time or recently, I have had a new hobby. So these are different ways on how you can use seit. Now let's go to the next preposition, which is aus, which means out of or from. Now the most common use case for this is to tell where you come from, which is used when you give your introduction. So for example, if somebody asks you, woher kommen Sie or woher kommst du, where are you from? Then in my case I will say, ich komme aus Pakistan. I am from Pakistan. However, if I want to give a more detailed answer, then I can say, ich komme aus einer kleinen Stadt in Pakistan. I am from a small city in Pakistan. And Stadt is die Stadt. That's why we use einer, which is the feminine indefinite dative article. And we also use the ending en after klein. And this is the adjective ending in dative. So whenever you have an article before the noun as well as an adjective, then you always use en as ending for the adjective in dative. Now another use of aus is when you are taking out something or something is coming out, then you can also use aus. For example, you say, nimmt sein Handy aus der Tasche. He takes his phone out of the bag. Another example can be, das Wasser kommt aus dem Wasserhahn. The water comes out of the water tap. So since it is coming out, that's why we say aus dem Wasserhahn. Now there's another use of aus as well, and that is talking about what something is made of. For example, I can say, die Flasche ist aus Kunststoff. The bottle is made of plastic. Or der Kleid ist aus Baumwolle. The dress is made of cotton. So you see, in both these cases we have used aus. And another common phrase with aus is, ich habe das aus Versehen gemacht. I did that by mistake. So aus Versehen means by mistake. So whenever you want to say that, okay, I did that by mistake, then you can use aus Versehen. So this is a commonly used phrase which you might hear in your daily life. So these were different examples with aus. Let's move on to the next preposition, which is außer, which means except or besides. So an example can be, außer dem Lehrer war niemand in der Klasse. Except for the teacher, no one was in the classroom. And over here, you see it is der Lehrer. That's why we use dem, which is the masculine definite article in dative. Other examples can be, außer meinem Bruder kennt mich hier niemand. Except for my brother, no one knows me here. Or you can say, außer meiner Schwester mag niemand in meiner Familie Schokolade. Except for my sister, no one in my family likes chocolate. So this is how you use außer in different situations. Now another common phrase or sentence which you will see is außer Betrieb, which means out of order. So a sentence for this can be, der Aufzug ist außer Betrieb. The elevator is out of order. So whenever you see this somewhere, then you should know that, okay, this thing is not working. So this was the preposition außer. The next preposition is von, which means from or of. So an example will be, der Brief ist von meinem Freund. The letter is from my friend. So you see, after von, we have used the dative possessive pronoun, which is meinem. Another example can be, ich komme gerade von der Arbeit. I just came from work. So you see, over here we have also used von. So this is the opposite of nach or zu, because nach and zu means to and towards, whereas von means from. Another example can be, ich habe das Geschenk von dir bekommen. I have received the present from you. So over here again we use the personal pronoun in dative after von. Now there is another use of von, and that is to show possession. So for example, I can say, das ist der Laptop von Markus. This is the laptop of Marcus. So you see how von shows possession in this sentence. Another example can be, das ist das Auto von meinem Vater. This is the car of my father. Or this is my father's car. Let's take one more example. Das ist die Wohnung von unseren Nachbarn. That is the apartment of our neighbors. So you see how von is used to show possession of things. And a commonly used phrase with von is von mir aus können wir gehen. So von mir aus means from my side. So if somebody asks you, should we go to the cinema? Then you can say von mir aus können wir gehen. So from my side, I am okay, we can go. So this was von. Now the next preposition is ab, which means from this time onwards. So this is also a time preposition which we also took a look at in A1. So an example with ab will be ab wann bist du im Urlaub? From when are you in holidays? And you can answer this by saying Ich bin ab Montag im Urlaub. I am in holidays or on holidays from Monday. And a follow-up question to this can be Und wann kommst du zurück? And when will you be back? Then you can answer this by saying Ich bin ab dem 4. August ab 9 Uhr wieder da. I will be back on 4th of August from 9 a.m. So you see we use ab dem over here because the months are always masculine. However, with time, we don't need to use any article and we just say ab 9 Uhr. Another example for ab can be Ab dem nächsten Monat arbeite ich in Berlin. From next month onwards, I will work in Berlin. So this again shows that from this point onwards, I will work in Berlin. Now we can also use ab with locations as well. So for example, we can say Der Zug fährt ab dem nächsten Bahnhof nicht mehr. The train will no longer run from the next station. So this is also a use of ab. However, it is more commonly used with time. So this was ab. Now let's take a look at the last dative preposition in A2, which is gegenüber, which means opposite or across from. Now this preposition is a little different because all the other prepositions came before the noun. For example, von meinem Vater or ab dem 4. August. However, gegenüber is a preposition which comes after the noun. Let's take a look at an example to understand this. So I can say, sitzt mir gegenüber. He sits opposite to me. Sitzt mir gegenüber. And you see over here, we have used gegenüber after the noun, which in this case is mir, which is a personal pronoun in dative. Another example with gegenüber can be Das Haus liegt dem Park gegenüber. The house is opposite to the park. Now again over here we used the noun which was dem Park before, and then after that we used gegenüber. But the article for park is the masculine definite article in dative, which is dem. Another similar example can be Das Hotel ist dem Bahnhof gegenüber. The hotel is opposite or across from the train station. Over here again we have used dem Bahnhof, and after that we have used the preposition which is gegenüber. So this is something that you should keep in mind when you use gegenüber, that this is a preposition which comes after the noun, whereas all the other prepositions that we have learned come before the noun. And with this we come to the end of the lesson. So these were the different dative prepositions in A2 which you should know, and I would suggest that you try to use these prepositions in different sentences so that you can practice them and learn how they are used, because this will be helpful for you in the exam, as you will have to use them in the written part if you want to get good marks. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if you have any questions or any feedback, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for your time and your continuous support, and we will see each other in the next video.